All right, welcome back to Developing Hurricanes, where the Hurricanes recently made the biggest trade in franchise history. They acquired Nils Juntorp,
Hell yeah.
biggest trade you could have ever had. I mean, there might have been some other parts to that. I don't focus on the other parts. Whenever it was going down, I was watching Justin Poirier play. So all I'm saying, uh, I'm being so serious about that. It was going on, and obviously we were talking, but I legitimately was watching Justin Poirier play hockey, and I was getting the notifications and everything. I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's
And
so
then,
funny. So
and
is there a video portion of this podcast?
oh, what do you mean by that, brother? You think I'm that? I take this that seriously? Come on, what are we?
Well, no, I saw you posted it to YouTube.
Oh yeah, I mean we have the face cam part, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say I'm wearing the branding today. Um, yeah. So I had just finished up working. Like
Yeah,
I was working late, and what was this Friday night?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was a Friday night. I'm exhausted. It's probably like 8 o'clock by the
Yeah,
time I'm. Yeah. Well, the trade broke around 9.
yeah.
But you messaged me while I'm in the cookout drive-through. Taylor Hall. And
Yeah,
I
I was
was
like, I was
like,
just excited about that.
well, and I was like, oh, that's sick. Like, the Canes are getting Taylor Hall. Like, that's cool and all, like at the time I think it was just Andy Strickland that said something that had
Yeah,
said something. Like he just
Hall
said
was getting
Carolina and that's it. Like
yeah.
my man just said Carolina and just left for the rest of the night.
Taylor Hall scratched for trade related reasons. Carolina, done.
Yeah, and that was
Nothing
it. And
else.
then he just left he left it there. And so I was like, okay, I mean, that's a little bit of a bummer because that probably means they're out on, Pedersen and Miller. Like, Taylor Hall's making $6 million a year. Like, all
Yeah,
this is going through my head. Like, I'm like, well, cool. I wonder what the return is. Like, are we giving up like, a draft pick? Are we giving up some prospects? Like, what's the deal here? Get my food, go home. Um,
and then you were the very first one
well,
to
by the
say
time I get
anything.
home, it's already been announced that there's a 3-team trade.
Yeah,
Not who the third team is. So I'm thinking like, okay, it's probably like a San Jose or like a,
Buffalo.
Anaheim broker type team,
Yeah,
you know. And then I saw Frank Saravalli tweet that Rantanen was coming to the Hurricanes, and I almost choked. My wife legitimately is looking at me like, oh my God, like Matt's about to die here. And all I see is like Mikko Rantanen, and my wife is thinking I'm speaking in tongues because, of course, like that's not English. And then I explain, and I mean, I don't know if we can say it's the biggest trade that's happened in the league in season in a while. I mean, you could argue the Matthew Tkachuk trade was just as big,
I guess so.
um,
Yeah,
but that also was kind of known that it was going to happen. This kind of came out of nowhere.
yeah. I remember Elliot's been dropping hints for like weeks, and they were like, it could happen. Maybe, and then kablam, random
Yeah,
Friday night.
just a Friday night news dump.
Yeah.
It was wild.
So obviously we're prospect people. We don't care about Mikko Rantanen, franchise all star guy, or Taylor Hall, really good player. No,
Of
we're
course not.
here for Nils Juntorp, baby, the sixth overall pick or sixth overall. Oh
Sixth
God,
overall. Wow.
it's late at night. Sixth rounder in 2022 from the Chicago Blackhawks. 20 points in 28 hockey Ethen games, which I had to get clarified was the third division of
Yeah.
Swedish hockey. He's played 3 games with Vassar, which is Noah Franzen's current team, and he has no points in those 3 games. He's a guy.
Yeah. So we talked about this offline, obviously, or online, but off the
Everywhere.
podcast. But in the brokerage deal type trades, the league requires that you send something back.
Yeah.
So if you recall,
I had to
the
again
Max
the
Domi trade,
yeah.
the
Oh
Hurricanes
yeah.
got the rights to a prospect from.
Oh, buddy, that's Yegor Korshkov you're talking about. That is, I believe, a top 20 AHL scorer, or not AHL, KHL. A KHL scorer this year. He's a very notable KHL player, and I think the Canes still technically
That's
very, very
not who I
technically.
was referring to.
Oh,
And I
I just
can't
remember.
think of the kid's name.
Was
And
it?
it's driving me nuts.
We
He
talked
played.
about it. Was it Horeshchuk?
No, well, Horeshchuk was who we sent.
It was Horeshchuk. Who else? No, there was nobody. Hold on. Max Domi. I can't spell Domi. Apparently, Carolina. I really wish I would put trade at the end of it so I could actually see what it was.
So that would have been 2022 because that was the year we got married.
Jackets traded Domi. The
My wife
traded
said,
Panthers retained for 25-year-old Yegor
Tyler
Korshkov.
Inamoto.
Oh my God! Yeah, sure.
So we got the rights to Tyler Inamoto, who was like a late round draft pick. Did not sign with the Hurricanes, so obviously there's nothing there.
Well, no, the Panthers sent Inamoto to Columbus.
And then Columbus sent him to us. As a part, because again, you in these retaining trades, you have to send something to someone.
I think I'm losing my mind. Continue, please.
Yeah. So the point of the matter is, because like in this trade, Juntorp was first traded to Chicago.
Yeah.
And then Chicago traded him to us.
Tyler Inamoto actually.
Or no, Chicago traded him in the return to Colorado, and then Colorado traded him to us, or something like that. It's weird.
They have the rights to Nils Juntorp, so if they ever really want to sign him,
the fact of the matter is, like, you know, like, yes, you might be like, what's the point of adding this guy? He's a former 6th round pick. He's playing in the Swedish 3rd League. Like, why do the Canes want him? It's mostly just to fulfill the league requirements. It's essentially the same as adding a 7th round pick to a deal. Like you just quite literally have to add something to these trades, and the 7th round pick has a lot more value because there's an unknown to it. Typically with a prospect, you know what they are.
Yeah, I think with Brian Burke, I think he was on Jeff Merrick's thing, and he was talking about like 7th round picks getting added to these deals, and apparently he was like, scouts get fired up when they see 7th round picks get added to deals because they're like, they might get a guy, or you might get nothing.
Because that's the end of the draft when like most of the guys on your list are gone, and you know you can start to push for the guy that you felt really passionately about the whole year, like the Joel Nystroms of the world. You know,
okay, well, he was on the list for later, so don't do that.
No. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. He was a 7th round pick, though. Fine.
Could have done
the Steven Lawrences of the world.
I was gonna say Fyodor Avramov, but that's probably a better idea.
We can talk about him too, because I think we're probably going to talk about him.
Avramov, not today.
Avramov, or no? Who's the guy that's made who won the KHL?
Krutov, buddy.
Krutov. So we got a lot of ovs.
I mean, that's part of.
But anyways, it's like it's like adding the Fyodor Avramov type, where one scout is like, oh my god, like I love this guy, and you're like, okay, it's the 7th round, like whatever guy, like here you go.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah. You always with the 7. I mean, yeah, with Juntorp. I mean, I don't really know if we have to worry too much about actually following his development. I mean, I have Flash Score, the app, on my phone, and I completely forgot the team name. That's really bad.
I think you can
HC
forget about
Dahlin,
his.
excuse you.
You can kind of forget about him. I think
I can't do it. He was the big part of that trade.
He was the centerpiece.
Yeah,
he got that trade done.
I mean, it wasn't going through unless Juntorp was added and went to Carolina, buddy. Believe that. My ears were just blown out because I have the AHL. Well, they still have it listed as the All-Star Challenge, which isn't correct, but the AHL All-Star game pulled up my other monitor, and the Canes had 2 guys originally that were going to play in this hockey game, but now they only have 1 guy that is going to play in this hockey game, and they're missing Scott Morrow, who got his technically second career NHL call up, even though he signed a contract, was on the main roster, and played in the last few games of last year. But now he's got his actual first call up. He'll join the team in Winnipeg, and you know, I I don't know if we've talked about him so much that there's running out of things to talk about. But I mean, Scott Morrow is Scott Morrow. You know what you're going to get. He's an exceptional offensive defenseman, and the fun part about his production this year so far is that he's done it mostly at 5-on-5 instead of on the power play, which on the one hand, it's good. You like seeing a defenseman get 5-on-5 production. It's always, even strength points are always a better helper when trying to determine some aspects of the game. But obviously, one of the big strengths about Morrow is his ability to run a power play. So it's a little, not worrying, but it's a little interesting to see. His defensive game took a big step up. Andrew Rinaldi posted a great clip from Saturday's game where Morrow jumped a pass in the neutral zone, took it right around former second overall pick Artem Levshinov, and drew a penalty. And I was like, wow, that's pretty sick. Morrow's done a lot of good in his first professional year, and kind of happy. I'm happy to see him called up, obviously, but it was kind of shocking to me that he did get called up in the first place over, Riley Stoneman, who was still up, or Ty Smith, who has been up in the past.
Yeah, I mean, with Morrow, I think he's the type of player that can create, because he's not the fastest skater in the world. I wouldn't call him a burner, but he's just so smart. He's so gifted with the puck. He's so confident in how he moves that he can make plays like that happen. And I mean, Artem Levshinov, yes, he's had a tough start to his pro career, but he's still drafted second overall. Like, this kid's not a scrub,
No.
So, and he's 18 years old playing in the AHL. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
So, for Morrow to be able to do that against him, I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, I think this weekend he had a gorgeous pass to Bradley Nadeau,
Oh my
who
god,
I'm sure
that
we're
was,
going to talk about.
he is on the list, yes.
Yeah, but that type of play where he can thread a seam pass through and find a guy going backdoor from the point, that's unreal vision. And obviously Shane Gostisbehere had a really good start to the year for the Hurricanes, but it's been a rough go at things for him lately. I would say that he's not been very good at even strength. The power play has also just, I called it doo-doo butt today, I think. It's been really bad. Ryan Henkel posted, I think it's 4.3% in 2025, which is abysmal.
I'm retired from NHL stuff, but
yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Retired in air quotes, but I still try and keep up. I was
going to say you're going to make it for Scott Morrow's debut tomorrow, I'm sure.
100. I came out of retirement for the other guy's
or
debut.
Not debut.
We'll talk about.
I guess it's not his debut. It's his.
It's season debut. We'll call it.
Yeah, it's his first actual call up.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyways, so you've seen that happen. Orlov had probably his worst game as a Hurricane, I would say, the other night. You've got a defense as a whole that's been kind of mid for a couple of months now. Like Sean Walker gets a lot of crap for no reason. I think because he's 5'11", people bill him as an offensive defenseman, and that's never really been his style.
When you watch Walker, I don't see offensive defenseman. I just see a two-way guy. I don't really see.
And that's what, but because he's undersized, finger quotes for the non-video listeners.
There's a huge undersized. There's some undersized defensemen. Sean Walker's not that.
But he's under 6 feet tall, which makes him undersized in the NHL's few things. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm using the air quotes, because I don't agree with it. But I'm saying, for a guy that's undersized, not Scott Walker, Sean Walker,
ooh, that's a throwback,
is more of a defensive defenseman. And he just doesn't fit the typical archetype of a sub 6 foot defenseman,
No, yeah.
So Brent Burns, folks need to realize that Brent Burns is old. Like,
Yeah.
I understand, like, he's not been good this year, but he's also not the reason the team loses games that often.
No, people just point out his mistakes because they do happen, and it's because they're. You got. Is he 40 now? Did he hit 4-0 recently, or is he still 39?
Not quite, but he's pretty close. But also, fans just like to look for a scapegoat, and
It's a shame. It's a
but
shame.
with the defense playing the way it has, you have an opportunity to give Morrow some meaningful games and almost treat this as a tryout for next season.
Yeah. Actually, that leads really well. Frank Saravalli, I can't speak today, had a post at whenever Morrow got called up and said that the Canes front office is really high on him. And I think most people can kind of agree that you'd be high on him if you've seen the way he played. Last year at UMass, he was really, really good. This season in Chicago, he's been really, really good. And with a guy like Brent Burns, whose contract expires at the end of the year, this is a really big opportunity for Morrow to show that he could potentially step into a role next year. And play in these big time, maybe not big time minutes right away, but play a role at the NHL level.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the defense and the contracts that we have.
Oh, I've had this memorized for like a year,
I'm looking
actually
at
about 2 years.
Puckpedia, and man, I do not like the layout of Puckpedia.
It's weird, but I also think we're all used to cap friendly still,
Yeah.
so
So I mean,
just
you've got Burns and Orlov coming off the books this year. And
yeah,
that's
isn't
likely
that's weird,
Morrow and
huh?
Nikishin.
Who?
That's likely Morrow and Nikishin.
Man, you gotta wait. I have like a sentence I was gonna read out down the line, but it's
Oh,
okay.
okay. I mean,
No,
I'll
I've
still let you read the sentence.
I've had the contracts like stapled into my head for a year now. Just like when could stuff happen potentially, and that like this year where you have two guys expiring and you have two guys that are probably close to ready, and you're like, huh, that's some neat little timing right there. Obviously we've talked about it a ton, but if you can get two guys on entry level contracts playing minutes that are reliable, you're like, well, as a contending team, that's gigantic. So not going to complain about that. So the other guy playing in the AHL All-Star game, who's actually there tonight, who also recently, to our hearts that grew 3 times that day, Ryan Suzuki finally got his call up, finally got his NHL debut. Subsequently traveled all the way to where did this was in
Coachella
Baker.
Valley.
Oh, Coachella Valley. It's one of the two because I think they play Bakersfield soon, anyways. Flew all the way out to Coachella Valley for the All-Star game. Flew all the way back to Raleigh to play in another game, and then flew all the way back out to Coachella Valley into the skills comp yesterday, and is now about to play in this game tonight. I'm just happy for the kid. It's been we made big note of it on the prospect account, his journey just to get to that moment, and my god, it's been a very long one, but we're all just happy to see. I was happy just to see him play. He was getting a lot of attention, everybody. I mean, I was happy for him the most. I was smiling the whole day. Nothing could bring down my mood from Ryan Suzuki NHL debut. And 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, I didn't really care. I was just happy to see him in a Hurricanes jersey playing in NHL minutes, and even saved a goal, which I thought was kind of cool. He got a nice little goal line save.
Yeah, he played great against what was it, Chicago?
Yeah,
And I think honestly, like, Ryan Suzuki earned his call up.
100%.
He has been through a lot and has played really well this year in Chicago. And I mean, I could see him coming back up and playing with the Hurricanes. I really could.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not
I
denying
mean, I
that.
think in both games he didn't see more than 7 minutes of ice time, which is a bit of a bummer. I mean, like, you really can't tell what you have in the guy.
Yeah.
But which maybe that tells us what we need to know, right? Like, maybe that's like the Canes aren't that high on him. But
Hey, man. Yeah, I don't know.
he's earned an NHL call up. Nobody can take that away. And we finally can say that like every player in that first round has now played in one NHL game at
Yeah,
least.
somebody had a stat where this was like the first class since I can't remember. It was I want to say it was before the 2010s that we had a draft class that like every single player, every single first round pick played an NHL game. I couldn't tell you which one it is, but somebody had it. A
I
stat
mean,
guy.
I could look up. I mean, while we're here, I could look up the NHL draft if you want.
Oh, I mean,
Just like the big names, to have come
eh,
out of it.
I'm trying to the 2019.
Yep.
Oh
wow, that's actually a little surprising to me.
I can't.
All right,
That draft class is like
I'll
eluding
give
me.
you. Here's the top. Do you want the top 5 scorers?
Sure.
All right, you got Jack Hughes,
Oh wow, that's okay.
who was
Ooh,
first
it's been
overall that year.
6 years. He's already. Oh wow.
Yep.
Ooh.
You want to guess who number 2 is? I'm actually shocked.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think because 2 that year, because it was Devils Rangers top 2. Kakko's not in the top 5.
He is not. He is 7th.
When was Mo Seider drafted?
He is 6th, but he is the top scoring defenseman in that draft, having 50 points more than the next defenseman.
I'm like thinking real hard. I'm trying to think of like other guys in the Hughes class. It's just 2019 was because all I can remember from that 2019 draft was the weird Capo Caco video in like downtown New York where he filmed it like with his phone like pointing straight up at him.
So next on this list is somebody that nobody talks about, but he's really good, is Matt Boldy.
Oh, really? Boldy was 2019?
Boldy was 12th overall in 2019. I don't think like the top 4 scorers in this draft are from the NTDP team that year.
Oh, yeah, Boldy, Hugh. Oh, okay. Oh, because I see all those posts.
Number 3 is the best 40-goal scorer to never score 30 goals, Cole Caulfield.
Oh, I was going to say Caulfield. I see so many of those.
Let me actually see if he has scored 30 goals yet this season.
Oh, 30? 30? I don't think he hit 30 yet.
No, he has 25, but he is the best 40-goal scorer to never score 30 goals.
Hey, man.
The way that they tweet about him.
We need to be careful because those Habs fans are Demidov supporters, and those Demidov supporters leak in the Nikishin comment sections. We need that.
I understand. I see it.
You don't get those notifications that I do, man. We got to relax.
Next is Dylan Cousins.
Okay, he's
the
probably
only Canadian. Actually, that's not true. Hold on.
No, Cousins is Cousin. Is he Canadian?
He's one of 3 Canadians in the top 10, but the only one in the top 5. Yep, Cousins is Canadian.
Okay, so then the other guy's American, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Okay.
He has an NHL cover.
Oh, is it Big T?
Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, Trevor. That's what I thought. Yeah.
The draft class kind of peels off pretty hard at that point. So 3rd overall that year was Kirby Dach.
Oh.
Who's 9th on the list.
I'm trying to remember because Tampa took a guy like right before the Canes, and I remember him I remember like part of him. He was a college kid, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not.
Nolan Foote.
Not even close. Never mind.
Which has not. I forget if it's Nolan or Cal, but one of those hasn't aged super well.
I think it was Cal. Yeah.
Nolan would have been on that juniors. No, it might have been Cal.
I think it was Cal because Cal's older.
Okay. But yeah, that draft really peters off after like it's not very good after the top 5. You've got Kakko, Matthias Michelli looks all right. Kirby Dach.
They just got Ryan Hartman for 10 games.
Good God! I mean that was attempted murder. I'll give him that.
Video watchers will see my reaction there. Seeing 10 games, I went, ooh.
But yeah. So, anyways, like 2019, like yes, it just shows you how hard it is to draft because like the top end of that draft had a lot of potential. Second and third overall picks in that draft would probably be considered busts.
I mean, Kako's finding his footing in Seattle, but
Sure, but like, did he work out like the way a second overall pick should in New York?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
But that I also don't think you can fault Kako for that. I think
No.
that's also in
New York
part
can't
with
develop.
New York having the complete inability to develop, and we're seeing that very
And then,
blatantly.
you've got Kirby Doc, who was with Chicago. Chicago was obviously not doing well when they drafted him, and he also just wasn't that good. And then Bowen Byram he's
Another
a
guy
big
that's
what
about to
if
get traded.
because Bowen Byram got traded to Buffalo, but also you got to think like his career is a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
Just because of all the injuries and concussions.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a side topic.
I was gonna say
it shows you how hard it is to get like a legit top 5, top 6 talent in your league.
Yeah.
Or in your game.
I'm not denying that. You know who's a guy that could be well, maybe not top 5 or top 6, but you know who guy that's probably going to be really good eventually? That's Bradley Nadeau. You want to talk about pure goal scoring ability? This kid has it all of it, every single little bit. He's 6th currently, and out of all rookies scoring in the AHL, he has 16 goals in 35 games, 30 points overall. I mean, he was throwing the puck at will at the net, and it was finding twine more often than it wasn't. That kid is electric. It came to
He's
a point
unreal.
where I was like, dude, which goal was it that he just went straight over the dude's glove? He did not
All
care.
of them?
Well, obviously the one that sticks out to me was Moro to Nadeau backdoor, because that pass was just sickening. The other one was Nadeau just came in just off the wing, and the goalie was like completely ready. He was there, and all that was really open was the top corner on the glove side. When it was short side, and Nadeau shot it, and it went right over his glove and in. And I went, "Oh, okay. I knew you could do it. I should have bought one of his 6 when he tried to sell me one. Can't believe a $150 discount. Crazy."
So Nadeau, since the World Juniors, has been on fire. It's been well documented.
He still holds first in. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He still holds first in U20 scoring.
Yeah,
and this time he's actually first.
I was gonna say, because I think Dalibor has slowed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the concern is that Bradley Nadeau is still a minus a lot of these nights. Like, he had 3 points against Cleveland on the 22nd and was a -1. But what I'm liking about Nadeau's game is that he's dangerous every shift. He's making a lot of plays happen. At the beginning of the year, the puck was coming to him, and then he was making the plays. This year, he's anticipating since the World Juniors, he's anticipating the play. He's making a lot more happen. It's working. It's working. And
oh yeah,
you're just starting to see a more confident player.
Yeah, I mean, there was some insane. Mainly he and Suzuki have I've talked about it. He and Suzuki have crazy chemistry. I don't know what it was. Those two just have a cerebral knowledge of where they're going to be at all times. I think they scored 2 2-on-1s like with ease this past weekend. And then him and Robida have gotten some crazy chemistry going now too. It seems like Nadeau is just able to adapt to these playmaking centers, or just these centers in general, and he can understand how to play the best. And I think that's a really, really big asset. And I think it also speaks highly of his IQ, which is incredibly good.
Yeah, I mean, he was always going to be a smart player, and I mean, at his size, he has to be either.
He 5'11"?
Yeah, he's not 6 feet tall. He's like 5'10".
I was taller than him, so that makes sense. Yeah,
I was gonna say, at his size, you have to be quick, you have to be skilled, you have to be smart, and he's all of that. Like, the real thing that knocked him in his draft year was the fact that he played in the BCHL.
You've been very adamant on that fact.
Yeah, I mean, the BCHL, as a league, yes, it produces a lot of Division One talent, but there's not a lot of like top end players in that league. The CHL is still ahead of the BCHL. I can say that. That's like, even though I'm employed by a BCHL team, I'd be lying if I said the BCHL is better than the Dub. Bradley Nadeau, you look at the strength of competition and you're like, okay, yeah, he put up 100 some odd points. He was over 2 points a game, I think. But it was against BCHL competition. Let's see how he does against college. Holy crap, he looks incredible against college competition.
All right. Well, there's no way he does it against AHL competition. Right. Oh man.
But it's a valid concern because you look at other players that have dominated the BCHL. Tyson Jost. Alex Newhook. Like Alex Newhook has carved out a fine bottom six career for himself, but he's not the same player that, was drafted out of the Dub. Or the BCHL, excuse me.
I get you.
So, the concerns surrounding Nadeau were valid, and Nadeau has just happened to prove them wrong because that's just how good of a player he is.
Proved him wrong at every step of the way as well. The BCHL to college is a big jump. He looked incredible against college competition. College to the AHL is a big jump. He's looked incredible against AHL competition. Now the only jump left is AHL to NHL competition, but that's still a big question mark for now, even though a few people are trying to say they need to call him up now, and I would politely ask that he stays in the AHL and continues to do what he's doing, which
give him the full year in the AHL, let him just because the only spots we have right now are fourth line spots.
Yep. A guy that next guy on the list here, we're just going to go through some of the North American guys before heading over to Europe and eventually Russia. A guy that has been unheralded by some, and he just doesn't get a lot of the love that, Nadeau or Felix gets, because Felix has also been pretty good since coming back from the World Juniors, and that's partly, and I'm only going to say partly here, due to the fact that he's been playing wing with gigantic gentlemen instead of playing center, which, I don't know. I really don't know what to say there. He's playing wing instead of center, and he looks good. I don't really know. But what I was gonna say is Justin Robida, something like that. This is his first season in the AHL, and he's looked awesome every step of the way. And he doesn't get the same love that these other guys have, the same amount of hype, but he is fifth out of all rookie scorers in the AHL. He has 31 points in 41 games. He's done it on the wing, and he's done it as a center. He's done it on the third line. He's done it on the top line. He's done higher level PK stuff. Like, he'll be one of the first guys over the boards if it's not Slavin or Brindamore. He's been decent on the power play. His playmaking is just insane, and his motor, dude. He's going to make you make mistakes, and I love that because it's just one of those guys you root for whenever you watch him, because you just love those types of players.
Yeah, I mean, Robida is a fierce competitor, and he has to be. He's not the biggest kid, but he leads the Wolves in scoring right now. I mean, he's pretty consistently factoring in. I mean, I think there could be a bottom six role in the NHL for him just because he's that hard of a worker. Like, Rod is going to love coaching the kid. Yeah, I have nothing but positive things to say about Robida.
Yeah, and that was what's kind of cool is that, I personally was not saying there was a chance, not that there wasn't a chance, but I wasn't pounding the table saying Justin Robitaille is a surefire NHL player. I was saying, if he keeps going, like he did at the start of his ECHL year and continue that success at the AHL level, there's definitely something that can be said there. And exactly. What's happened? He's continued his success, and he's adapted to playing against these guys that are definitely bigger than him, probably stronger than him. But he just understands how to do stuff. He plays exactly what Rod Brindamore would love. And whenever he was at the game watching Skyler, I bet he saw 93 and went, "Oh my God, Probably just smile a little bit, maybe shed a small little tear down his eyes watching a kid forecheck like that in a AHL game.
Well, and you gotta think too, right? Like the QMJ, he came from the Q,
Yes,
and
he did.
it's not the best league right now. So the
Hey,
jump
man.
from that to the AHL is a huge jump. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really impressive that because obviously he missed half of last year. So this is his first full season of American hockey.
Yeah, because he got hurt in like actually probably about this time last year, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Yeah, he's. I mean, I don't. We were both very complimentary of him. You loved him whenever the Canes drafted him because I think you still had. You were yeah, it was definitely you. And then I started watching him actually on that run with Quebec. That was the first time I actually laid eyes and like watched him fully, and I was on the living room TV and just like, whoa, because he was in a big role for a team he just got to. He got
Yeah.
traded to Quebec, and he was just insane.
That's why it's so fun watching these I know we try and tweet it whenever on the Prospects account, but like the free CHL games, like CHL games are fun.
Oh yeah,
Like
dude,
if
free. Oh,
yeah, and like Justin Poirier, like
this past weekend, yeah,
obviously his free game just passed, but like if you ever get the opportunity, even if the Canes don't have a prospect, just watch. It's fun hockey.
yeah.
90% of the time. There's a
Canadian
few
junior
games that
leagues are
suck,
sick.
but like catch the free game of the week. Like seriously, I'll even say like for the BCHL, if you've got flow hockey, BCHL games are fun.
Yeah, the WHL just had McKenna versus Landon DuPont as their free game. You kidding me? That's sick.
Let me tell you. So, oh god, who did DuPont play for last year?
Dog, I just know Everett. I could not tell you the junior teams.
It was a CSSHL team. Hold on, he played for Edge, out in Alberta.
Okay.
I just looked it up. So Edge had another kid that we were looking at. Like, we had no chance of getting him because I think he was drafted pretty high, Dub, and is playing there this year. Or no, they had Ben McBeef, who's in San Diego right now.
I'm sorry. Wait, did you say McBeef?
McBeef.
Like MC and then BEEF.
MacBeath.
Oh,
Beef.
I thought it was beef.
MacBeef. No. But anyways, Landon DuPont last year. So keep in mind, he's playing U18 hockey, and he is
15.
14 years
15,
old.
14, yeah. Because he's 27. 27, 28? 27.
2027 draft, so 2009. May 28, 2009 is when he was born. I just looked up his Elite Prospects page. This kid was playing against kids 4 years older than him and was the undisputed best player on the ice. Like, you could have had him playing in the Dub last year and he would have put up generational numbers.
That's insane.
That kid is unreal. For him to be a point per game defenseman at 15 in the Dub, are you serious?
Yeah, he's insane.
And
Canes fans, don't worry.
McKenna, I mean, people might know this now. It's not as like much of a fun fact, but
TSN drilled it into you.
Is Connor Bedard's cousin.
TSN drilled that into you if you watched any lick of World Juniors coverage.
I was going to say, I'm sure they did, but for those of us that have a life, I know, I'm kidding. I watched the World Juniors too.
We went back and forth.
I know. I'm being silly. I have to give you some crap.
Oh my god.
No, but for those of us that maybe don't have NHL Network, let me put it that way. Or TSN. Shout out.
It was on ESPN Plus. TSN was on ESPN Plus for the time.
Oh, really?
Being
Was it?
Yes,
That's
it
actually neat. I didn't know that.
I was at the gym watching Sweden versus Slovakia.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't actually know that ESPN Plus had that. That's neat.
Only during some
McKenna
things.
is Bedard's cousin, and McKenna is probably not as good as Bedard is, but he's going to be unreal too.
It's going to be close.
He's a good candidate for first overall next year. So anyways, CHL's fun.
I think he's the only candidate. I can't think. I'm like trying to dig into my Russian bag, but I got nothing. The only Russian prospect this year has fallen off the face of the earth, whatever. That's Ryabkin.
I'm sure there's going to be 8 more Russians at the Hurricanes draft. That will be
I
great.
know. I had a Dylan Griffin. He released his like top Russian list for this year's draft, and I like
Write that
noted.
down.
I like mentally noted like which ones were like at the kind of like toward the bottom and like the middle, and I was like, yeah. I wanted them. Kind of a weird one, but Dylan was a big advocate of Artyom Shushinov last year. I believe is how you pronounce that. And I was completely fine with it because you could have made the Chad Gable like Shush joke before his gimmick changed. And that would have been sick. He plays for Severstal now in the KHL. He gets like decent minutes. Because I was watching a different guy who we'll talk about later, and he is at the KHL level, like doing halfway decent now.
Shkushkinov?
It's like SCHU.
The defenseman?
Yeah. He's not bad. He was an overager though, so I think that kind of scared people off. He's also tiny, but he skates really well.
So he's 5'11", then, and Russian. Good lord, yeah, that's gonna scare away every NHL team.
Hey, there's a 5'11" Russian that's we'll talk.
I know we'll get to it. I know, but I'm just being silly again.
Okay, the last, well, not technically second to last because I had a Yaniv Peretz. At the ECHL, because I can't speak correctly today. Last year, a 2.99 and a 0.889 save percentage. And first professional year, you just want to see some. He wasn't bad. He had some good games. He had some games. He got his NHL debut, and he had a one save percentage. He's perfect. This year, he had a little time at the AHL level when the Canes were going through some complete turmoil in goalie with everybody getting hurt. And at the AHL level, he had like a good game and then 2 bad games, and then everybody got healthy, and he's the one that got sent back down to Bloomington instead of Kazayev because we've talked about that before, but he is making every single bit of his time at the ECHL level currently. 13 games played. He has a 1.78 goals against average and a 0.942 save percentage. He was named the ECHL goalie of the week because he had a 0.5 goals against and like a 0.97 or like 98 something save percentage. Where if I look here, Friday he had a 33 save shutout, and Sunday he had a 36 out of 37 save performance.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's been really good. I've had some people ask why he's at the ECHL. God, I can't speak to that. The ECHL level, because you see the stats, and I think he's like top 5 in the statistical categories, even though he has less games played than a few of these other guys. And he's at the ECHL level. He's too good to be there. Why is he there? What do you got, Matt?
You got Dustin Tokarski and Spencer Martin.
And Ruslan Kazayev as the third string, who played this weekend.
Yes, he technically played this weekend.
Hey, he technically had a shutout this weekend.
He did. He completed the shutout. He faced 6 shots, stopped all 6.
Hey, that's progress.
Raised that save percentage up to an 8.76.
We're going places.
And the thing is, like, you've heard the phrase "too many cooks in the kitchen." Like, carrying 4 goalies in the AHL is too many cooks in the kitchen.
I mean, you can still say that for the AHL defenseman situation still, because I think they still have 7, 8, or 9. I mean,
yeah.
8, and then Bryce.
Because Legault hasn't played in about a week or 2.
No, he hasn't played in a hot minute here.
Yeah, he might be hurt.
That's what I'm thinking. But you know how fun it is to get any sort of
any sort of information whatsoever. Yeah, I know.
I mean, we get lineups now though, so can't complain about that.
Yeah. But no, so you've got Spencer Martin and Dustin Tokarski who are playing very well. and are seasoned pro goalies. Kazayev needs to work with the trainers that we have in Chicago just because he's 19 years old. He's 20 at this point, but still, he's young.
That's true.
He projects to be a really good goalie down the line, but this is also his first North American season.
And
He
making
doesn't
the
speak
jump
very
from
much English. Yeah.
MHL to AHL is, gigantic.
Yeah. And I don't think he had played in the VHL at all before this
He had
past.
one game.
Yeah, and so that's not comparable at all.
No.
So, yeah, it's just tough.
100%.
Peretz is I'm hoping that he gets the opportunity at some point. But it's, the same reason the Canes didn't go out and trade for somebody. They signed Dustin Tokarski instead. Because, they didn't need, Frederik Andersen's come back and been good.
Yep.
You don't need to trade for... You need to go and trade for freaking Dan Vladar, or
Dan
that was
freaking
mentioned in
Vladar.
Saravalli's trade
Big Johnny.
today.
Big John Gibson.
Or John Gibson. You don't need to go make those trades if Anderson's going to come back. Oh, Anderson isn't one of the playoffs. Anderson hasn't done this. Very few goalies win in the playoffs.
It's not just the goalie that causes playoff issues either.
So, if you can find a stopgap, and they found a stopgap in Spencer Martin, and when Spencer Martin stopped working, they found a stopgap in Dustin Tokarski.
And then when Dustin Tokarski stopped working, it's because Frederik was back.
Right. And now you're in happy goalie land. Great.
That is correct. So. The last North American guy I wanted to talk about is a guy that the Canes actually technically have to sign. Well, not technically. If they want to sign him, they have to sign him before June 1st of 2025. College guy, been incredible recently and is leading the boys back, leading the big UMass Minutemen back to hope in probably the toughest conference in college hockey, the Hockey East. That is an insane conference this year. Lucas Mercuri. I went to watch him last year. I didn't talk to him at all, but the kid is gigantic. First up, he's. I mean, you can't say anything before saying he's 6'3" and easily 200 pounds. It says 192. It's a lie. That kid's 200 pounds. You can't do that. You're lying on his name like that. This year, with UMass, in 27 games, he has the same amount of goals as last year. He has 9. And he has 22 points overall. He's only 3 short of breaking his personal record, which was 25 last year. He still has 10 games to do so. So that's good stuff. He's just he's on a 5-game point streak currently. And in that 5-game point streak, he has, very quick math, 8 points. And what is that? 5 of them are goals. Okay.
Not bad.
And he's playing high minutes. He's their top line center. He's averaging, they were 4 out of 5, 17, 16, 17, 20, 18, 49. He's a beast. Incomplete. He's like the most ideal 4th line center you could ever find because he's big, he's physical, and he loves to play in front of the net. And that just sounds like a 4th line Bash Brothers center.
Yeah, it all depends on how the Hurricanes, decide to operate. I think the advantage that Mercury has right now is the Hurricanes have no center prospects. None. 0.
Well, Suzuki, Robida, technically, if you want to use Felix, he's played center a lot this year. If you want to count Felix, who's played center a lot this year, that's technically 3. There's another guy.
How many true center prospects do we have that have, is it Suzuki?
1. It is just Suzuki.
Okay. And I would argue that Suzuki probably is not an NHL center.
Oh, you're going to hurt my feelings there. Didn't he? Wait, hold on a minute. He was 50% on faceoffs when he played, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but the sample size is so small. But
still counts.
Yeah, no, I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying it's small. But the Hurricanes have no center prospect depth. None.
That is 100% true.
And part of that's why they're putting Felix at center, but also part of it's just, I think, to try and expand Felix's horizons.
Yeah.
You know, the advantage that Mercury has is he's going in with no competition.
No.
So, that's good for him. I think that he could succeed in a fourth line center role. I mean, usually the Canes don't sign those types of players, but I think that given the lack of center depth in the organization, I think they could.
Mm-hmm.
It really just kind of depends on how things go the rest of the way. Because Mercury he's always had decent point producing potential, like never like phenomenal offense, but he's been good around the crease. He's relatively smart. He makes some good plays. I don't think he has any really true high end elite skill.
Well, if you count hitting, like being physical, a high end
Yeah,
elite
he's
skill.
a responsible defensive two-way forward that might get you 20 points in the NHL.
Might be a stretch, but we'll figure it out.
You know what I mean. Like, you're getting fourth line center production from him, and that's about it. So, I like him. I've always liked Mercury's game. I think he plays the game the right way. He doesn't cheat the game. Like, he doesn't sacrifice defense for offense, and that's something I think Rob Brindamore is really going to appreciate about him.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, that's all the North American guys, and now it's February. We're another month closer. We get to talk about the greatest defenseman in SKA St. Petersburg history, and I can confidently, truthfully say that now because I want to say he has every single record you could ever want. If I'm not mistaken, he has the points record by 33.
Oh, wow.
He is tied for the goal record, so the next goal from this guy, we don't know who it is yet, will break that record. More importantly, he's done that in 2 less years than anybody else close. And to the if you like just got into Canes prospects or Canes hockey, if you just got into hockey in general, that would be the 6'4", 200 and was that 16 pounds, drafted 69th nice overall in 2020. That it would be Alexander Boom, whatever you want to call him, Nikishin. He's the best defenseman in SKA history.
He's unreal. I mean, I remember when Nikishin was traded to SKA St. Petersburg, and I remember reading this article where he was kind of disappointed because, every player thinks they're going to play with their first team forever, right?
Yeah.
But Nikishin's so much of a competitor that he was like, I was really looking forward to being the best defenseman in Spartak history. And that's all well and good, but now he's the best defenseman in freaking St. Petersburg
history.
And that is a lot more impressive, let me tell you.
I'm not denying that.
He's unreal, man. We say it every week.
It's hard to find words at this point to describe him, because if we're looking here, his last 7 games, let me just double check. Oh, sorry, 6. In his last 6 games, it's 5 goals. It's 5 assists, so 10 points in his last 6 games. He's playing 27, 27, 26, 26, 22, 21 minutes. It's hard, and especially his game against Dynamo Moscow from Saturday. He took over. As a defenseman, he took over that hockey game. He brought SKA to the win. He won in overtime. He had a goal at even strength. He had a primary assist. He was just everything for that hockey team. And he's the captain for a reason. He's 23. He's just unbelievable. I can't believe
he's a 23-year-old captain for Putin's favorite freaking hockey team.
All right, man.
Like, it's unreal what this kid has been able to do at such a young age. you know, argue all you want about whether or not the KHL is the league that it used to be or whatever. But fact of the matter is, he is still, I would say, the best prospect outside of the NHL right now.
I mean, I'm the same exact way. I mean, obviously, we might be homers, very technically, but it's hard to find another guy besides maybe Demidov. But even then, while as talented as Demidov is, Alexander Nikishin has done more and in a much more responsible role. It's it's hard to find the words to describe just how good he is, and it's insane because he does everything at a high level, and he's just morphed into this just unbelievable machine. And even with missing time at the start of the year, and even with missing time in the middle of the year, he's still on pace for over 40 points in 60 games. That's
he's
stupid.
incredible.
That's stupid. I can't believe that personally. Hopefully he doesn't sign a contract. That would kind of suck. In Russia, sign a contract in Russia. That would really suck.
I think he's, the fact that the Hurricanes are mentioning him now means that they're confident he's signing. They would not be talking about him. In fact, I would argue they would have traded him if they weren't confident that he would sign.
To be fair, all the reports, I mean, genuinely because as if you've listened a lot, I talk about Telegram a lot because KHL teams aren't supposed to have Twitter accounts or anything.
Even though a few of them do.
SKA, Metalurg are the two big ones because I think I still follow them. But it's every like big reporter. So for the ones that I know of, it's Alexei Shevchenko's like the big one. He's like the guy that gets a lot of the stuff. Daria Tuboltsova, who has actually made her way onto Twitter now, who keeps up a lot with it on Telegram.
Is that Ponomarov's wife?
Daria Tuboltsova? No.
She used to report whoever Ponomarev is married to used to report for Scott.
Oh. No way. I think this was her. I don't think it is. No. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure.
You know what?
We're not. And then Arthur Kyrullin's the other one. But anytime they mention KHL and like guys leaving, it's, Nikishin's on the list, and nothing's official until it's official. But if Russian reporters are reporting it happening, man, I wonder what's going to happen.
He hasn't posted his wife in a while. They might have divorced.
I don't know. Ponomarov's actually been really good recently for Wilkes-Barre, so I don't know. Him and Ville Koivunen.
Anyways, I didn't mean to bring up Ponomarov's trauma here.
That's crazy. Next Russian. Let's to the next Russian. A guy who made a jump up in division, going from 36 games at the MHL level to 34 at the VHL level this year. Who's mainly played like seventh defenseman, bottom pairing, just got skyrocketed in the order to second pairing, and now in his past 3 games has played 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 22 minutes after only averaging 12 minutes throughout the entire year. I am going to actually use big Alexander Suryatsky here because he, in the summer, apparently they updated his height and weight from 6'2", like 150, to 6'4", 180. Did we talk about this last time? The 2006 born list, Russian defenseman born 2006 born list. Okay, I wanted to make sure.
I think he was number 4, 3.
I think he was, because Cole
was right behind Timur Cole.
Cole was second. Cole was, because it went Silyev. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Silyev, Cole, Suryatsky, Chakrin. Which first, still insane. But Suryatsky has seen a gigantic step up in his role. He's actually been really, really good in that role. I've caught a tiny amount of Magnitka games this year because my school schedule is a lot more insane than it was last semester. But plus minus isn't the greatest tool for judging defensemen, but his past 3 games where he's played in this elevated role, he's a +4, which you're not going to complain about when you're doing this. He skates really well for a guy that's 6'4", which is always nice. And the good part is the defensive game is what he kind of already has down for the most part. He still makes some mistakes, very obviously. It's just offense he needs to work on. I mean, 8 points in 34 games this year is kind of a thing, but I think with a team at a higher division, you're probably going to not try and be as ambitious offensively, just to make sure you can still make sure you play regular hockey.
Yeah, it's ruthless over there. So I mean, if you don't play the systems, they're gonna find every which way to bench you. I don't know a ton about Suriatsky. I've not watched a ton of Russian hockey this year, but the profile is interesting. It was a 6'4", big mobile defenseman that seems to already have the defensive side of the game developed. Like that's a profile that you bet on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you mentioned it last time, and I completely agreed with it. You take a guy like that, and you hope the offensive game develops because you already have the physical and the defensive side mastered. If you can get the other part, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get the most out of those guys, then you're doing pretty well for yourself. I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. The second to last here, we're getting close to the end here. This guy is a mobile skating defenseman. He's not 6'4". He's actually 5'11".
Okay. I know who we're talking about now.
5'10", 5'11". Who saw his role increase last year with Severstal. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. He's getting some, halfway decent playing time with a decent team. They made the playoffs, and, he was okay. And now this year he's taken another big role where he's doing even strength and he's getting a lot of time. He's getting power play time. It's not a lot, but it is some. And he's getting penalty kill time, which is always very nice. Again, it's 5'10", 5'11", so take it with a grain of salt. That is Vladimir Grudinin, who, interestingly, has not signed a contract with Severstal for for the next however many years. It's a little interesting there. I think if he hasn't signed yet, we're kind of late into the year for KHL signings. I'm a little intrigued there. His ice time has shot up recently. I'm seeing 21, 23, 23, 23, 23, 21, high 20s, or like kind of low end 20s, high teens. He's been really solid in that role as well, and he's relied on to be closer to the shutdown guy, and he's actually kind of decent in that role for a Severstal team that desperately needs that. Now, I will say his last game, he got 20 minutes. He was a -1 in a game that was 8-6.
That's not awful.
No, I was not awake for that game.
Could have been a lot worse than.
It was like Sunday at like 9 a.m. And if you think I'm waking up at 9 a.m. on a Sunday to watch a Severstal game, man, I have another word for you that you're not going to like.
Yeah.
But a -1 in an 8-6 game where you get 20 minutes of ice time, that's not too bad.
Well, and with Grudinin, I think I've mentioned this on here before. He is one of the weirdest profiles in the Canes system.
Yeah.
Because he's a 5'10" skinny defenseman that doesn't have a ton of offense, but he's a really good defender, really mobile, good first pass out of the zone. But offensively, he doesn't have like the high-end offensive IQ of a defenseman that's typically his size. So it's just a fascinating profile. I'm really interested to see, if the Hurricanes sign him, like how that'll translate in the pros, because in North American pro hockey, you need to have that physical or elite offensive aspect, and he doesn't have that. So I'm curious.
I mean, watching him play in Russia, it's like interesting because he skates super well, and he doesn't get knocked off the puck that often, which 5'11", they have him listed at 157 pounds, which that's already you're a wet blanket. Excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and also he did break his point record at the KHL level. It went from 10 points last year to 12 points this year.
He's exploded offensively.
I mean, 2 points in like 3 less games. So, I mean, only you can only go up from there, realistically.
Yeah, I mean he's doing really well. I'm very happy with how he's doing. Again, it's a 5th-round pick. I think, if he signs, the fact that you're getting pro games out of a 5th-round pick is something that not every team can say.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the last guy we'll talk about today is getting a lot more interest. Well, one, because I talked about him in the top 5 prospects of January because he had an insane month of January. He played really well at the SHL, and he was a very big help at the Champions Hockey League. It took me a minute to remember what it was. And this is another guy they took a shot on in 2021 in the 7th round, and he's getting a lot of attention right now because of a comment Luke DeCock made on the Joe and Joe Ovies, and I can't pronounce the other Joe's last name that starts with a G. It trips me up from time to time. I can't pronounce it. I'm gonna say a word that is gonna get misconstrued because it's Giglio, and if you say it the wrong way, it's gonna sound like I'm talking about something that is not
Is that
podcast.
the local reporter?
Yeah, he does a lot of NC State stuff and some
Thank
Kane
you.
stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his
Joe.
last name.
That's his first name.
Yeah, it's Joe Ovies, and Joe, I can never pronounce his last name.
Giglio.
Yeah, see, if you're gonna keep going, you're gonna get gigolo, and then it's all gonna go downhill fast.
No.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Luke DeCock mentioned that Joel Nystrom, the Canes are gonna bring him over at the end of the SHL season, which
Correct.
makes sense. He's signed to an entry-level contract. His contract does run out with our Jestad at the end of the season. Nystrom's kind of sick. Every time I've gone to these camps and I've had the opportunity to watch him, his skating, it's so fluid.
Oh, he's unreal.
Like
skating department.
The way he moves in like motions is crazy to watch because his skating is crazy. And like every time I watch him and Haimo Salmi, those are the two that like I always like gravitate to because what's that for?
No, Haimo Salmi is a good skater. I just know that we've had other conversations about Haimo Salmi that it just makes me laugh.
Oh yeah, but in terms of Nystrom, the added benefit is that his offense is actually taking a step this year. He's projected 30 points, which is a step up from 26. Another big point is his penalty minutes is down from 18 to 6. So that's another nice plus. Again, plus minus is not the greatest thing to judge defenseman off of, but he is at a plus 14 this year compared to a plus 12 last year. And I'm also just now noticing he's actually on loan at Vargestad and not actually under okay.
Well, so he's under contract with them because his current SHL deal didn't end until this year.
Oh, so they signed him and loaned him out to okay.
Yes, because again, there's no agreement. So like, I'll use it. So like, when Finns signed from the Liga, so like, let's say I think it was Eetu Luostarinen when he signed. He had another year remaining on his Finnish contract. He signed with the Hurricanes, and that deal was terminated because the Finns they get money from the NHL that is a player development fee. It's like part of the agreement that they have. The SHL has an agreement. They still get money, but they don't let their players terminate their contracts. They require their players to finish out the deals.
I actually don't hate that, in complete honesty. I kind of...
The SHL is one of the best defensive leagues in the world. I mean, you're looking at Joel Nystrom having 30 points as a defenseman in the SHL. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Actually, that because somebody I was because I still work with Dauber. I'm taking on a bigger role with Dauber in a few days. Actually, next Monday, I think, and my first actual thing will come out. That's a little bit bigger. But the SHL this year, somebody was talking about it. Like, you see all these guys in the SHL that put up like decent points. The big one was Victor Soderstrom, but they come to the NHL and they just can't translate it effectively. So I mean, just looking at the list, Soderstrom's up. Soderstrom has 25 and 39. Lassie Thompson, another guy, 22 and 38. What else do we have here? Robin Salo, another guy. David Quenville, if you really want to be specific, even though I don't think he was an SHL guy before going. I don't think so, but I remember him. No, he was WHL. Don't even listen to me on that one.
I was gonna say players hit 30 points all the time in the SHL, and but it's a league that has very strong competition. I think is what we're trying to get at here.
Matthias Norlander, that was 10 points during 2020 was but it's something. My words today are just flowing out so effortlessly, huh? So many fun little slip-ups. But if you look at U22 scoring at the SHL level, Simon Forsmark he is 22. Crap. Okay, so U23 scoring. Let me quickly adjust myself here, because then I can actually brag on a few other people. If we do U23 scoring, it goes Axel Sandin Pellikka, who was a first-round pick, Joel Nystrom, 7th-round pick. I get he's a few years older, but 7th-round pick, with 23 points. Third place, Simon Forsmark, 4th-round pick. He's 21 years old, I understand, but he also plays a different role than what Sandin Pellikka plays with Skellefteå. And then at 8, shockingly enough, Dominic Bedinka. And that is out of 52 eligible players.
There's not a lot of defensemen in the NHL or in the SHL at that age. It's a very hard league to break into. So I think, the Canes have a solid Swedish defenseman pipeline with Forsmark and Nystrom.
Yeah.
And Bedinka playing in the SHL, even though he's from Czechia.
Yeah, that was yep. remembered Stein Solberg is there as well. Remember that defenseman. Joel Nystrom was the one that I was supposed to talk about here. Smooth skating. He was sick in the month of January. I think he had like 10 points in 12 games, and he plays hard competition, and he plays tough minutes against hard competition. And Varjestat's a very, very good team in the SHL.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him do this, continue the success in his 4th SHL season, and to see he had back-to-back years of 46 games and 16 points. And then last year was a big year with 26 and 51. And now this year he's on pace for 30 and 52. So it's nice to see the progression. And now hopefully you'll get to see him on North American ice probably next year. Varjestad's a strong team, and they'll be probably a deep playoff team. So I don't think you'll see him this year, but definitely next year. I think he'll play somewhere in North America, whether that be, I do doubt it'll be the NHL, but AHL definitely. I think I'll be happy to watch Joel Nystrom at the AHL level.
I think he'll start there. It's a tough transition, but I think he'll be solid. I'm looking forward to it.
You're losing your voice there, Matt.
Am I? Well, my wife's asleep, so I'm trying to keep it down.
Oh yeah, I mean it's almost my bedtime, man. It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're getting
old
late here. That is my fault.
Old man.
I will admit that is my fault.
It's okay.
I did forget we were recording tonight.
Yeah. Very quick roundup. Andrei Krutov, hurt currently. He got an injury with Torpedo at the KHL level. He was supposed to play in the MHL All-Star game. I didn't even know that. I got a notification from his MHL team like, hey, he got replaced because he got hurt. And I went, wait, he was hurt? I didn't realize he was hurt first up. And I was like, wait, he was an All-Star? Which is my fault technically, but
yeah, I mean, I think we can forgive you that one. The MHL doesn't have a Twitter.
they have a Telegram though, Matthew. Okay.
Sure, but
Nikita Artymonov is back healthy with Torpedo, and he is not
putting a point at least at a decent clip.
Right now, he's in his past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's about he's 4 goals in his last 7, and that's just 4 points in his last 7.
So he's scoring.
Yeah, Torpedo's going through a rough patch. I mean, yeah, he's 31 and 47. That's a pretty good already. I mean, 19 years old. I'd always held out hope that he would be the sole proprietor of the all-time U20 scoring record. Unfortunately, Rotenberg finally got smart and decided to play his star or whatever. So Artymonov right now is 7th all-time for U20 scoring, a point behind big Yevgeny Kuznetsov. He'll probably he might end up around the Michkov 19 season, which it's Matvei Michkov, who was very highly touted, and this is Nikita Artymonov, who was the 50th overall pick.
Yeah.
Anything else I need to go? Justin Poirier is playing like Justin Poirier.
Yeah.
Drakkar kind of pains me to watch at times because they kind of stink.
That's the cue.
Yeah.
It's a tough league sometimes.
He was held scoreless in his last 2, but in the 4 games before that, he had 7 goals. That's
not too shabby.
It's Justin Poirier, all right.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Nils Juntorp is settled right between Dominic Fensore and Noel Gunler.
Love that.
Noel Gunler actually had a really sick goal.
He did. It was a nice goal. I don't really have much more to say about the other guys. Everything's been kind of like,
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I feel as if we did a good job. We've hit around the mark we normally hit.
We've not talked about a single goalie this year.
We just did today.
Well, no, like other than Peretz, but like I look at our goalies now and I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, Patrick Hammerla plays in the 3rd Czech division. I think he's a guy they have to sign this year. I think him and
they got one more year on Hammerla.
Really? I was looking at this earlier because I was trying to.
No, I think you're right. It is 4 years. Yeah, so Hammerla. Ugh.
I was gonna say that.
Crap.
That makes me.
Quap, they got to sign, which isn't happening.
I went. Hammerla, Quapper 2025, and the only other guy that's 25 is Mercury, who is by August 15th of 25. Yeah. No, we haven't really talked about goalies because
there are none apparently.
I mean, the only thing you get with Hammerla is his record and his goals against average. I do know that he has been doing youth coaching. He runs like a camp like every week or something like that. So I think that's kind of cool. I see all the updates because I can't speak today on Instagram all the time. And Quap doesn't really play. Kazayev gets a game every other week. Vondras is like a every week starter, kind of. He gets a game every week, something like that. Peretz, we talked about. Martin and Tokarski, who they have listed as in the system, are not prospects. And then Yegor Velmakin, who I left it. Oh, that was from January. Okay. Minsk got fully healthy, so he has been with Molodechno, he's been traveling with the team. He just doesn't back up or start at all.
Somebody drew him a pretty cool picture. I saw it posted on his Instagram story.
Yeah, he has a fan club.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. So
He's a nice kid. I love him.
Yeah, he seemed like a really cool guy. But Nick, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week. But you know, exciting times with Scott Morrow
And Nils Juntorp, man, so excited.
and Nils Juntorp. You know, the future. He's gonna be new Ville Rasanen to me.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
for me, he's just new Yegor Korshkov because that's the one I remember vividly.
Like,
But
Ville Rasanen was always just like, the second I saw him in prospect camp, I was like, this kid sucks. I watched him play. I was like, he is the weirdest skater I've ever seen. What did we possibly see in this kid? And we never saw him again. He never came back. The next year, he was not at a prospect camp. It was crazy. So, yeah.
I had a note to end on, and I just completely lost it. Well,
Well,
that's great. I don't think we need any more. It's been
we've got a Ville Rasanen reference in. I think that's good enough for our outro.
Ville Rasanen and Yegor Korshkov, and I think that's the second. I mean, that's second Yegor Korshkov one today, but I think it's also.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've mentioned him at least 4 times now. I think we've met the quota.
And no, we'll come back to it. That might just be the running gag here.
The running gag is just naming old prospects.
Running that and Yegor Korshkov. Well, I can
and
reminisce.
Yegor Korshkov, of course.
Yep. Now I can now just look at my Marty Necas jersey in my closet, just rot away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's whatever. I got it like 2 years ago.
That's a tough one.
You know. All right. It's been great.
Yeah.
I hope we'll come back sometime and do this again. Obviously.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. That was. Yep.